Hi everyone, my name is Nicailla Serran,
I am Jireh Morre.
And I am Kiezsha Gomez.
and we are the Group 5. And for today's video, we'll be tackling about the wireless world, types of wireless networks, wireless LAN applications,
Wireless LAN transmission, 802.11, wireless networking,
Wireless extended LAN technologies, wireless MAN, the 802.16a standard, other wireless networking technologies.
and without further ado, let's get started. The wireless world. The adjective wireless sometimes connotes more than it means. You may infer that wireless networks have no cabling of any kind. Nothing is farther from the truth. However, wireless networks appear most frequently in conjunction with the wired networks, often to interconnect physically disjointed LANs. So, wireless networking has considerable appeal in many circumstances. Related technologies can provide the following capabilities: create temporary connections into existing wired networks, establish backup contingency connectivity for existing wired networks, extend a network span beyond the reach of wire or fiber optic based cabling, especially within the older buildings in which rewriting may be too expensive. And the last one is the permit certain users to roam with their machines within certificate limits, so called mobile networking. So there are types of wireless networks. So the first one is local area networks, or the LANs. In LANs, wireless components act as part of an ordinary LAN, usually to provide connectivity for roving users or changing environment, or perhaps to provide connectivity across areas that might not otherwise be networkable. The second one is the extended LANs. An organization might use wireless components to extend the span of LAN beyond normal distance limitations for wire or fiber optic based cables. And the last one would be the mobile computing. With the mobile computing, individual users communicate using a wireless networking medium, such as radio or cellular telephone frequencies that permits them to move while remaining attached to a network. So, what is wireless LAN application? Wireless LAN is a wireless local area network. It is used to establish a wider connection between two or more devices. We can use wireless distribution method within a limited area such as school, office, house, etc. So the application can extend the LAN and cross building interconnection between two blocks in college. So, the wireless components of most LANs behave like their wired counterparts, except for the media and the related hardware involved. The interface attaches to one antenna and an emitter rather than a cable. So there are features of wireless LAN application. The first one, it is very flexible. It is easy to add more devices. It has no problem with external conditions like flood, rain, etc. It increased mobility and collaboration. Users can move within the environment without losing the connection, and there are no wiring difficulties. And there are also difficulties in wireless LAN application. The transmission of connection is low, the quality is very low. The wireless equipment is very costly and less safety and security. Hacking is very possible.
next one would be the wireless LAN transmission. So, wireless local area network is a network that allows the devices to connect and communicate wirelessly. So, all wireless communication depend on sending and receiving signals broadcast through the atmosphere, such as signals take the form of waves, somewhere called the electromagnetic spectrum. So this spectrum, measured in terms of frequency of the waves form used for communication, measured in cycle per second, usually expressed as hertz. So In wireless communication, frequency affects the amount and speed of data transmission. So, wireless transmission dictates that lower frequency transmission can carry less data more slowly over longer distances, while higher frequency transmission can carry more data faster over shorter distances. So, the middle part of the electromagnetic spectrum is commonly divided into several named frequency ranges or bands. So these are the most commonly used frequency for wireless data communication. One would be the radio. It has 10 kilohertz to 1 gigahertz. Next is the microwave. It has 1 gigahertz to 500 gigahertz. And the last one is the infrared. It has 500 gigahertz to terahertz. So the next one would be wireless LANs make use of four primary technologies for transmitting and receiving data. One is the infrared, second is the laser, third is the narrowband single frequency radio, and fourth will be spread spectrum radio, and we will go through to them one by one. So let's start with the infrared LAN technologies. So infrared wireless networks use infrared light beams to send signals between pairs of devices. Infrared works well for LAN applications because of its high bandwidth, which makes 10 to 100 Mbps transmission rates easy to deliver. So the four primary kinds of infrared LANs include 1. Line of sight network. So the description of it is it requires an unobstructed view or a clear line of sight. So this type is a propagation that can transmit and receive data only where a transmit and receive station are in a view of each other without any sort of an obstacle between them, like FM radio, microwave, and satellite transmissions. So that those are the examples of line of sight networks. Second one is the reflective wireless networks. So this part, it broadcasts signals from optical transceiver near individual devices to central hub, which then forwards the signals to their intended recipients. Third is the scatter infrared networks. So it bounces transmission off walls and ceilings to deliver signals from sender to receiver. So communication is a broadcast of infrared transmission sent out in multiple directions that bounce off walls and ceiling until it eventually hits the receiver. So the scatter infrared networks, this approach limits maximum reception distances to approximately 30 meters, or it has 100 feet. So the fourth one is the broadband optical telepoint network. So it provides broadband services, alternatively referred to as high-speed internet or wide band transmission broadband. It is a telecommunication that provides a variety of channels of data over a single communication medium. Next one would be the laser-based LAN technologies. So laser-based transmission also require a clear line of sight between sender and receiver. Any solid objects or person blocking a beam blocks data transmission, and to protect humans from injury and to avoid excess radiation, laser-based or LAN devices are subject to many of the same limitations as infrared, but are not as subject to interference from visible light sources. Next is the narrowband single frequency radio LAN technologies. So Narrowband radio or single frequency radio LANs use low powered two-way radio communications, much like those used in taxi cabs, police communication, and other private radio systems. So, receiver and transmitter must be tuned to the same specific frequency to handle incoming and outgoing data. Unlike light-based communications such as infrared or laser, narrowband radio requires no line of sight between sender and receiver as long as both parties stay within the broadcast range of these devices, typically a maximum range of approximately 70 meters or 230 feet. So these are this is the table of the narrowband single frequency wireless LAN characteristics. So here are the characteristics and the value. First is the frequency ranges. Its value has an regulated 902 to 928 megahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, and 5.72 to 5.85 gigahertz. The maximum distance of it has 50 to 70 meters or 164 to 230 feet. The bandwidth of it is 1 to 10 Mbps. The installation and maintenance, the value of it is easy to install and maintain. Its interference, it is highly susceptible. The cost, it is moderate, and its security, it has highly susceptible to eavesdropping within range. So next would be the narrow band. That was the narrowband single frequency wireless LAN characteristics, and this is the high-powered single frequency wireless LAN characteristics. So this table summarizes the characteristics of high-powered single frequency radio networks. The characteristics and value. First is the frequency ranges. Its value is unregulated. It has 902.928 megahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, and 5.72 to 5.85 gigahertz. The maximum distance it has line of sight unless extension technologies are used. The bandwidth of it has 1 to 10 Mbps. The installation or maintenance, it is difficult, highly technical, and it requires licensing. Its interference is highly susceptible. The cost is expensive to very expensive. Its security is highly susceptible to eavesdropping. Next one would be the spread spectrum LAN technologies. So, spread spectrum radio addresses several weaknesses of single frequency communication. So whether high or low power rather than using a single frequency, spread spectrum uses multiple frequencies simultaneously, thereby improving reliability and reducing susceptibility to interference. Also, using multiple frequencies make eavesdropping more difficult because of how individual frequencies are used together for spread spectrum communications. So, the two main kinds of spread spectrum communications are called frequencies hopping and direct sequence modulation. So, what are those? So, the frequency hopping is the switches data among multiple frequencies at regular intervals. So, the transmitter and receiver must be tightly synchronized to keep communication ongoing. The hardware handles the timing of hops and chooses the next frequency without sending any information about such activity. So, Eavesdropping is nearly impossible, but because they only use one frequency at a time, frequency hopping technology's effective bandwidth is usually 1 Mbps or less and seldom exceeds 2 Mbps. So the next is the direct sequence modulation. So it breaks data into fixed size segments called chips and transmits the data on several different frequencies at the same time. So the table, this is the table of spread spectrum LAN characteristics. As you can see, there are its characteristics as well as its value. Next one is the 802.11 wireless networking. So the 802.11 wireless networking standard, also referred to as what we are using now, called Wi-Fi, which was completed in 1997. It has been in continual development up until now. So it is an extension to Ethernet using the airwaves as the medium. This network can extend from several feet to several hundred feet depending on the environment factor. So of these computing standards, 802.11b is, A is the specifies a bandwidth of which it has 54 Mbps at a 5 GHz frequency. So with it, manufacturers of wireless networking devices have brought inexpensive, reliable wireless LANs to homes and businesses. So of these computing standards, 802.11b is the most prevalent as of its writing and has been in use the longest. Of the two higher speed standards, 802.11g is backward compatible with 802.11b and therefore provides a convenient bandwidth upgrade path. On the other hand, 802.11a, due to its high frequency, presents problems for upgrades from 802.11b, but provides for a more reliable and more flexible transmission. So manufacturers and builders wireless access points that support two of these standards, thereby accommodating the older 802.11b standard while providing an upgrade path to one of the faster standards. So essential of it is 802.11 wireless is an extension to an Ethernet. So the prevalence of people with 802.11, it enabled laptops and PDAs spawn a new mode for accessing the internet. Many businesses are setting up Wi-Fi hotspots in which a person can sit outside their favorite coffee shop and enjoy a wireless internet connection with their laptop, PDA, or even their cell phone. So college campuses too are using hotspots so that students can sit in campus courtyard between classes and access the campus network and the internet with their Wi-Fi enabled laptop.
So, certain kinds of wireless networking equipment extend LANs beyond their normal cable-based distance limitations or provide connectivity across areas where cables are not allowed or able to traverse. For instances, is wireless bridges can connect networks up to 3 miles or 4.4 kilometers apart. Such LAN bridges permit linking of locations such as buildings or facilities using line of sight or broadcast transmissions. LAN bridges also may make it unnecessary to route dedicated digital communications lines for one site to another through communications carrier. Normally, upfront expenses for this technology are as much as 10 times higher, but eliminate recurring monthly service charges from a carrier that can quickly make up and exceed this difference. Um, Longer range wireless bridges are also available, including spread spectrum solutions that work with either Ethernet or token ring over distance up to 25 miles. As with shorter range wireless bridges, the communications cost savings realized over time may justify the cost of a long range wireless bridge where appropriately connected, such as equipment in both long and short range varieties, can transport both voice and data traffic. Table 3 to 7 summarizes the characteristic of wireless and extended LAN technologies. So, we have the table of extended LAN technologies. So the characteristics, frequency ranges, the value is spread spectrum in paired laser. The maximum distance, the value is 1 to 3 miles for short range up to 25 miles for long range. And bandwidth has the value of 1 to 6 Mbps for spread spectrum to 2 to 2 to 100 for infrared and laser. Installation or maintenance depends on equipment, ranges from easy to difficult, highly resistant. The cost and its value is inexpensive to moderate. Lastly, security, not very susceptible to eavesdropping. So, next is the wireless MAN, the 802.16a standard. So, one of the latest wireless standards, the 802.16a VMAX, worldwide and interoperability for microwave access standard promises wireless broadband to outlying and rural areas where last mile wired connections are too expensive or impractical due to rough terrain. VMAX delivers up to 70 Mbps of bandwidth at distances of up to 30 miles. VMAX operates in a wide frequency range from 2 to 66 GHz, although specific products will probably only operate within a portion of that entire range. Besides providing wireless network service to outlying areas, WiMAX is being considered for implementations that include mobile wireless access where a person could connect and maintain a high-speed wireless connection on a PDA or laptop while moving in a car. So, microwave networking technologies. Microwave systems deliver higher transmission rates than the radio-based system, but because the frequencies are so high, transmitters and receivers must share a common, clear line of sight. Microwave communications usually require FCC approval and licensing and also are more expensive than radio systems. Experts distinguish between two types of microwave systems, the terrestrial and the satellite. So, the terrestrial microwave systems use tight beam high frequency signals to link sender and receiver. By using relay towers, microwave systems can extend a signal across continental scale distances. So, so the terrestrial means of the Earth and refers to line of sight transmissions between special microwave towers or between transmitters and receivers mounted on tall buildings, mountain tops, or other locations with long, clear lines of sight to desirable locations. So, so the terrestrial microwave systems, in fact, many communications carriers use microwave towers to send traffic across sparsely populated areas where traffic is moderate and distances make laying cable expensive. The tight beam nature of microwave system means that transmitters and receivers must align precisely for best results. Some low-powered microwave systems are available for short-range LAN use, but these too require a clear line of sight between transmitters and receivers. Table 3 to 8 some um, so yeah, so we have the table of terrestrial microwave LAN and one characteristics. So frequency ranges, the value is 4 to 6 gigahertz or 21 to 23 gigahertz. The maximum distances typically from 1 to 50 miles. The bandwidth is 1 to 10 Mbps. Installation and maintenance is difficult. Interference varies with respect to power and distance. Longer distance more prone to weather disturbance. Cost, it is expensive, and the security is highly susceptible, but signals usually encrypted. So the other primary alternative for microwave transmission is satellite. Instead of aiming at transmitters or receivers within a clear line of sight on the ground, satellite microwave systems send and receive data from geosynchronous satellites that maintain fixed positions in the sky. This is how television signals and some long distance telephone signals travel from one side of the world to another. The sender beams the signal to a satellite visible on the horizon. The satellite relays the signal to one or more satellites until it comes onto the receiver's horizon, and then the satellite redirects the signal to the receiver. So the geosynchronous is the satellites orbit 50,000 kilometers or 53,000 above Earth. The distances involved are therefore great enough to incur measurable transmission delays, called propagation delays, that vary between 0.5 and 5 seconds depending on the number of hops, jumps across network segments, involved between sender and the receiver. So, the launching of satellites is an activity that most organizations cannot fund. Therefore, most satellite microwave systems must lease frequencies on satellites operated by global communications carriers. Since this approach also is prohibitively expensive, even multinational companies with legitimate needs to send data around the globe typically choose to pay for their communications time rather than pay for exclusive use of their own frequency. Even more than terrestrial microwave, satellite communications cover a broad area and can be received by anyone who has the reception equipment. That's why microwave transmissions are routinely encrypted to make sure only their intended recipients can access their contents. So we have this the satellite microwave one characteristics. So the frequency range is 11 to 14 gigahertz. The maximum distance is global reach. The bandwidth is 1 to 10 Mbps, the installation and maintenance prohibitively difficult, the interference prone to EM interference, jamming, atmospheric disturbances, and the cost is prohibitive, security not very susceptible to eavesdropping. That would be all, and thank you.